If you're looking to learn the latest skills in no code and AI, you have to check out nocodealliance.org. No matter if you're just starting out or if you're a seasoned pro and looking to specialize even further, we have courses at all levels and in all different tools. And we're adding new instructors on a monthly basis. So go to nocodealliance.org, create your free portfolio, check out some of our courses, even apply to jobs while you're there. And then for employers looking to tap into the greatest AI and no code talent, you could post a job there for free at nocodealliance.org. Immediately access over 2,000 of the world's best talents. And if that's not enough, we have a feature where you could boost your job to immediately access 5,000 more no code and AI devs throughout curated networks that we've put together with some of the best developers there. So go to nocodealliance.org to get started, and I hope to see you there. You're listening to This Week in No Code plus AI, with weekly episodes sharing the latest advancements of AI, plus exclusive interviews with founders using these tools. So without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to This Week in No Code. I'm your host, JJ England, here with my co-host, David Pal. We have another insightful week for you in This Week in No Code plus AI. We have a slate of new news that we want to talk about. Flutterflow Con, is it Flutterflow Con just happened? Is that how
Flutterflow
they pronounce it?
Developer Conference, FFDC.
Flutterflow Developer
Right.
Conference just happened. We want to talk a little bit about that. Some new AI models came out. We're going to talk about that. Bubble released their state-of-the-art no-code report. We're going to talk about that. And then we want to show you some fancy new tools as well. So, David, why don't you get us started with the first news item of the day?
All right. So, Runway. We've talked about them before. Runway has come out. They came out really hot out of the gate as like the premier video API. This is like before, I guess Dolly was still kind of playing around, but there wasn't really much video. Runway came and said, "Hey, we're going to do video," and they've launched 3.0. I think it's 3.0. Their beta of 3.0 or Gen 3 Alpha Turbo something. It's wild.
It's wild.
It's like they've actually gone, "Oh yeah, we can make video now."
Yeah. I've sent it to a couple people, and they're like, there's no way that's entirely AI.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like I wonder how it starts off. It seems like the video you posted in our Slack channel is pretty cool. Like looking at what they've done, it is an
Yeah.
impressive video. I I want people to play with it, and I think Peter Levels on Twitter has a good take, um, which is like people are just going to keep working on it. Like it's not as great as it will get. It's actually as worse as it'll ever be right now. Like it'll never be
Yeah. And
worse than it is today, which is I think
yeah.
a good sign.
I saw that video that they released saying that, the API is now available. And it was just incredible. They built the story and even the people in it, everything was just so good. And I immediately thought, I was like, I could just become an AI filmmaker, or there's going to be AI filmmaking agencies now. Like it's really changing things. And then going back to Peter, what you were talking about, he also did a test where he's like, hey, if I generate, tons and tons of photos and then put it into its system to make it a video, I think he spent like $28 on
Something like
photo
that.
credits,
Uh-huh.
like some
Yeah.
like API training. And it took him about 4 to 5 hours, and he made a 60-second video that was like really good for $30 in 4 hours. And again, this is the worst it's going to be. So it's really impressive stuff, and it just keeps getting even more impressive. And I do feel bad for my fellow filmmakers, because it's like, out of all the industries that you could bring innovation to, why are you crapping on this industry? We already have it so hard. It's already like we're already struggling to make money. Go into another industry. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I still think someone had a take that was like the moment I watch a video and there's even the slightest bit of misresemblance, right? Something that doesn't look right, the face doesn't
Yeah,
look
it takes
great.
you out a little bit.
It destroys that like what am I watching? Like I think it
Yeah,
hits you somewhere in this like primal center of your brain where you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's not what I thought it was. Like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, I figured out the magic trick.
yeah. There's this commercial on TV that I'm just like, I just don't know if that's real now. And every time, that's all I think about doing that commercial,
Yeah.
rather than like, what do they want me to think about?
Yeah. And so I think like I still think in so many ways we're still in the it's cool because I can do this with AI immediately.
Yeah.
we're not really in the transformation of an industry yet. You can see where it's going, and I have faith that it will get much, much better. I don't think we're there just yet, and I don't know where the upper limit is. Like, I don't think it's definitely not where we're at now, but I don't think it's like stepwise from Gen 1 to Gen 3 again. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what who I think or what is really having its moment right now, and it's just gonna keep getting better, but scraping data off web pages. Like, there were just a million ways to scrape data right now, and it's becoming easier than ever before,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm using it in so many ways now. It's just like this is feeling like it's really having its moment for me of just, like, using these AI platforms to scrape this data in many different ways and then feed into many other ways. It's I feel like we're all just gonna be working with scrape data pretty soon, so I feel like that's also getting there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see how like the internet and browsers change over time. Um, I think about so much of like early startup journey, which is just going to websites, reading it, figuring out what people do, and seeing who competitors are and who customers might be, and trying to get a hold of people. And like, I think we're still very much in the like. I think it's possible to launch a startup, like pre-product startup, very confidently just using AI.
Yeah.
And it's a cool
It's
place in terms of
yeah, I
scraping.
personally feel more power in my hands than ever before, and I've been with no code for 4 to 5 years now, but, like, with no code plus AI, I literally feel like I could build anything. It's really powerful.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move on to some more news. What else we have?
For all of you out there listening, if you are in the market for any kind of software development needs, check out Studio NoCode. It's our agency that's built on Bubble experts with nearly a decade of experience building all kinds of Bubble apps, marketplace, social network, payroll company, catering business, data room, ad tech, legal tech. We got a little bit of everything. We've seen it all, and that helps us translate all of our knowledge into your app to build the best product for your customers. We built it professionally, we built it to be secure, and we built it to scale. And we're going to do all these things on time and on budget. So if you are looking for help getting off the ground, getting something to market, or anything in between, give us a call or an email or a carrier pigeon or whatever you want. Studio-nocode.com. We'll probably be there.
All right, so Microsoft's Copilot Wave 2, new productivity features amid privacy concerns. So they made some announcements for the Copilot 2. BizChat and Copilot pages are now new features aimed at consolidating customer data into a single workspace. Copilot pages allow AI-generated content to be editable and shareable. Through some analysis suggests it's similar to shared documents. So Copilot is fully integrated with Excel, including Python preview, while PowerPoint benefits from tools like Narrative Build for rapid drafting and Brand Manager for consistency. In Outlook, Copilot helps analyze messages, and in OneDrive, it compares file drives without opening them. So it's just generally a Copilot on life throughout Microsoft's suite of products that is just helping you get through the day.
Yeah, I think that's what they're pitching it as. What do you think about like Microsoft is a horizontal SaaS company. It kind of touches everything.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where AI makes it so much better to make vertical SaaS tools. Like now you have tools everyone's building. You can build so much faster with fewer people, blah, blah, blah. Like all of these features that they have seem like it would be better if you had a specific agent that did a specific thing. And maybe they have the team and resources to build these very specific things. Like it kind of feels like a PowerPoint presentation tool that's trained on fundraising decks or real estate pitch
Yeah.
proposals. Like those make more sense than just a general narrative builder.
Yeah, that's another piece of this is they have Copilot agents that automate tasks from single queries to autonomous processes. These agents can be built and customized through Copilot Studio. So that's going to your point of just like general Copilot like agents. I do agree that I think specialized agents perform best, but maybe they have a ton of specialized agents under the hood and they're just using kind of one agent to assemble the rest.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably train your own agents. I'm guessing in this CoPilot studio, we haven't really played with it, but I'm guessing you can then train these things to do that. It seems kind of. I mean, maybe they're going to have a marketplace like the Upwork for Copilot Studio, where you can like train
Yeah.
a agent and then someone else can use it.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like
I
that
could
the
see that
average
happening for
person
sure.
isn't going to be training their own agent.
No. No. No, I definitely see, and there's already a couple of them I think where they have specialized agents that you can go and kind of rent, and
Hmm.
people can upload their own agents and make money that way, but
Yeah,
you also benefit from it. Like Appify, one of the scraping tools, they have scraping agents that they've built, and it's just a library of like engines that are built for certain things, and it's just like you can rent that and go off and do it, and
yeah,
so I could see similar libraries like that or marketplaces come together.
yeah, yeah. I think that it could be interesting. I thought one of the very early ideas, like when NoCode was coming out and people were talking about agents, it was like I thought it would be interesting to build a hiring platform, just like how right now, um, in the new preview models, um, OpenAI has like thinking for 30 seconds. Like I
Hmm.
thought that interface, like that experience needs its own like hiring system. Like, oh, I'm going to be doing these things for 45 seconds and so I'm going to pay $60 an hour or 10 whatever it is, $100 an hour and oh, I just spent 30 seconds of time. That means it's $4 that I have to pay. And so I thought it
Yeah.
would be interesting to be able to rent agents and doing these chain of thought processing, which just seems like what OpenAI is doing right now. So it's I don't know, maybe it still has some ideas there.
Yeah, let's get to the Bubble report, the state of the no code development and what it's Bubble's report, the state of no code development in 2024, key trends and predictions. First off, did they ask you like to participate in this report?
I don't
Because
think
they didn't
so.
ask me, and I don't know of anyone else that they've asked to participate in this report. And as the hub of no code, I'm just like, where did you get the data for this no code report? Because it's just not adding up.
Yeah,
But
I don't remember filling out a form. Maybe I did. Maybe there's a lot of forms that they're sending out. I don't really know. I think this was like a really weird survey. At least the results were like they just seemed, I don't want to say it's like a tautology, like it is because it is, but like one of their main takeaways was 80% of startup founders in this survey plan to bootstrap and they leverage no code for rapid prototyping and lower costs.
so they surveyed their customers.
Like are people planning to bootstrap because they use no code, or are they using no code because they couldn't raise funding and so they have to build it themselves without code and hiring a developer, and so they plan to bootstrap because they've had to? Like I couldn't tell which causation made sense. Like
Sure.
they want to say, oh, like you can bootstrap now, but like is it because you have to? I don't know. um
Yeah. It feels like a report that was generated by a marketing team.
to pro-
That's what it
to
feels.
promote why Bubble is the best, like why Bubble matters is because of these things.
Yeah.
uh
So let's go through some of these things so we're not just teasing the
sure, sure,
audience too
sure.
much. Why don't you
Okay,
start?
so one of the things they say, 64 and some change percent. Okay, marketing team, just say 65%. How about that? Believe that most human developers will be primarily using no code solutions to create software by 2030, in basically 5 years. 64% of people believe that most people will be using no code.
And then the second point is 40% think AI will render traditional human developers obsolete by 2030.
So most human developers won't exist, but the ones that do exist will be using no code. I don't buy it. I don't maybe. I I'm glad this is the survey and not just like This is what Bubble thinks. It's a survey.
Well,
I don't
look
know.
at where we've come in 4 years. Like, in 4 years, Bubble had that crappy responsive engine. It had probably just passed 1 million users, and, like, it just raised its, $100 million Series A. And, like, ChatGPT, like, 2 or 1 was out at the time kinda thing. It was very, very, like, long ago, 4 years. This is now 6 years away of predictions, and AI is moving faster than ever before. So by 2030, I think everything's going to change. I do think that we're going to see a roll up between AI, code, and no code. And I do think that there will continue to be abstractions in code via no code platforms. But I'm not sure that I would believe that 65% of all developers will be using a no code tool for the primary tool by then.
I agree. I mean, I just Googled how many developers are there in the world? 30 million, basically. Bubbles claims to be 4 million accounts. That seems
Yeah.
kind of high. Maybe it is. I don't know. 4 million people would be great. Seems kind of high.
Yeah.
I don't know if this includes like Airtable, which probably has many hundreds of thousands of people. It seems unreasonable to either lose 80, 90% of the developers in the world or 10x the number of bubblers. Like, I just don't think there are going to be 40 million people building on Bubble in 10 years.
Yeah. And to the
This
point, they
seems
didn't say
hard.
bubble specifically. They
say
said
no
no
code.
code.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, I think, a little bit more broad in general. But I just feel like there's so many traditional developers that just look down upon no code, and I just can't
Yeah.
see the majority of them all of a sudden saying we're going to ditch traditional code and now we're going to go on a no code first platform. I just don't see that happen. If anything, I see tons of no coders that feel more empowered than ever using AI to use more traditional coding stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I think I would bet one of the predictions I would make is that by 2030, we're not using the term no code anymore.
Sure.
I don't think that's what we're going to be referring it to.
Yeah.
And it will be some abstraction. I also think that like AI is not replacing developers. I think there will be more developers building more stuff
Mhm.
with AI, and like it's not
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
obsolescence of a
Hopefully,
developer.
by 2030, programming gets to be a point where like video creation is today. Like video creation, because you could
Mhm.
just take a video on your phone. It's so popular and so accessible, and there's so many video creators all over the world doing their own thing, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, software programming is like that in 2030. It's accessible to everyone if they want to do it. Yes, there's certainly professionals. You can see the difference, and there's also amateurs, but there's value in the amateurs too. And so
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a wide variety of people doing this because it's so accessible. And I think there will be lots of benefits because of
Yeah,
such.
it would be interesting. The other thing
Yeah.
I want to get your take on, people, they asked, what are people building? I guess they're using some AI. They're using their AI model to figure out what people are building. They said 10% of prompts are focused on e-commerce, 6% of prompts are AI, 5% are social networks, 2% are games, 1% is SaaS, 1% is dashboard, and 1% is marketing. That's like 25%. What else is in here? Like, are people really building? Are the vast
Games.
majority of people building e-commerce on no code? Like, why aren't people using Shopify?
Well, maybe Shopify is a no-code platform in that way.
I think they're talking about like people in I don't know, this is a strange, using
Yeah.
the bubble prompts, which I guess the bubble AI prompt, this is what they analyze people are building with it, which was like all e-com, which is surprising.
Interesting.
Very surprising to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's quite a state of the no-code development report. I think it's a branding report of them
Yeah.
trying to keep in the center of that industry. But I do think they missed the mark in terms of they didn't get outside of their tool well enough, and to really encompass the full industry. So I do think they missed the mark there. I think we can move on to the next point though. So Flutterflow just had their developer conference, and they
Yeah.
had some pretty cool things that come out of it. So they announced that they have 1.6 million Flutterflow users. And in the last
That's
year,
half of Bubble.
15,000 apps were developed. and over 5 billion lines of code were done.
Wait,
And no,
sorry.
this is significant because
15,000 apps on 2 million users
in the last year
in the last year. That's
and
a
deployed.
weird proportion.
You know, the problem is, and the Bubble's facing the same thing, is a lot of people are getting started, but not a lot of people actually make it to the finish line and deploy. They get stuck along the way. And so right now, I think Flutterflow is in that area where Bubble was in 2020, where they raised the money and then they went from a million to 2 million really quick.
Yeah.
Like Flutterflow was just at a million, like within the last year, you
Yeah.
know, so they're really zooming along. And matter of fact, at NoCode Alliance, we have 2 different Flutterflow jobs open right now, looking for Flutterflow developers at like good jobs, and not many people applying to them yet. And so it seems like one of these things of like Flutterflow, the skills are in demand, and there's still not that professional crop of developers
Yeah.
to satisfy them yet, especially with how quick they're moving.
Huh.
But there was another big stat that came out, and it was due to their mobile banking app that they have. David, what were the stats there? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
so I saw that there was a bank in India that had over 50 million downloads of this Flutterflow app, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a really good. Um,
Yeah, 50 million downloads and 13 million monthly users. It's the number
13
one
million.
banking app in India.
Yeah, you know, like Flutterflow has such an advantage over Bubble in this kind of scale because it's a mobile app, right? And they're decoupled to the back end, and so this bank may have
And there's access to code.
yeah, and the bank probably has a back end that's written right for scale, and now they could build this app really quickly and plug into those APIs. I don't know what the
Yeah,
app does, and I'm curious how they handle compliance. But like it's a mobile app, right? And so
yeah, especially for
it's
the
not on
Android
Bubble
store.
servers.
Most of the most popular Android apps are actually built on Flutterflow or Flutter. So I think that's very promising. But generally, I wish Flutterflow wasn't built on Flutter. Like I wish it was built on like something that's better for desktop and mobile.
Like
Because
Glide.
Flutterflow is still, huh?
Like Glide does, aren't they both? They're also desktop.
Yeah, but I think like I'm not sure with what framework would be more proper. Maybe like a React or something. I'm not sure. But generally, Flutter just doesn't do well on desktop, and we've heard this from a lot of Flutterflow experts.
Yeah.
And so, like, I wish it was like better on desktop, where it's just like, hey, you're good for both with access to code and access to all these things. Like, that's really impressive. Some of the other things that they launched in Flutterflow this conference was like different development databases. So you know, they finally have like a development database. Exactly, which honestly, I'm surprised they didn't have it already. You know, also like Git branching and version control finally came there. Again, I was also surprised that hasn't come yet. So it's nice to see that stuff there. But you can see like in terms of maturity of like building production ready apps, they're like just getting there. With that being said, like they do have major clients like Wendy's and many other clients using them to build their mobile applications.
Yeah.
And that's also a really cool thing to be like, hey, I can learn this skill and then work for a company like Wendy's, you know, building with this skill.
Yeah. I wonder.
And I haven't seen that with Bubble yet, like at that level of a client.
That's what I was thinking about when this announced. Like, we have 2 weeks until BubbleCon, right? And I'm curious if in this keynote, like I've never seen them really push out, here are our actual success stories that are like really impressive.
Yeah,
I've
like we know
definitely
the better
heard-
legal and like that kind of stuff, but like not like a big corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's actually building very production stuff with it. And
Like even WeWeb has given us good examples of like large banks using their infrastructure and everything. And
Yeah.
WeWeb's very new, you know?
Yeah. And the French postal system is using it. And
exactly.
like, you know, someone not just an entrepreneur and like, or an entrepreneur that's made it, you know, way further. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like what they're going to come back with. I think Bubble needs to be, well, I don't know. One of the questions I want to ask the founders is like, who's your target customer? Like, do you want enterprises using this? Like, I never hear anything from their sales team. They have a dedicated sales team trying to sell Bubble. I don't know how it's going. Like, we know nothing about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard because it's like a whole new language that people have to learn, and it takes a long time to learn it. And so, and then plus you don't have access to the code, and then you're, you gotta kind of use their database, and maybe their data isn't already there. Like, there's just so many things that make it not great for an enterprise play, where I think a lot of enterprise customers are looking for, where it makes a lot of sense for MVPs and startups and whatnot. And, I love
Yeah.
using it for that purposes, but this year's BubbleCon, I'm not sure it's. I mean, first off, the last year BubbleCon, they announced Bubble Mobile Native Mobile, right? Which in this year BubbleCon, and that's not even out yet. Still, they're gonna beta, like it's in beta. They're gonna show like a couple people that have used it as a live example. But you definitely thought it would have been out by now, right? So they're gonna still
Yeah.
announce that
Are
again.
you kidding?
Is that gonna
Like,
be
they
one of their
should have been
announcements
in
again?
beta when they announced it. Like, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have then been in beta. Like, they were really grasping at straws, I guess, on what to announce. And
Right.
the AI stuff kind of fell
Oh
on its
boy.
face, right? Like, that
Yeah.
backfired.
I mean, have you used it yet?
I used it once or twice, and then I never
Just
used
to
it.
see what
Like,
it can do,
yeah,
and then
I
it's
was
like, this is
curious.
useless.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
useless.
it generates 5 to 7 different templates, the same template every time,
Yeah.
essentially, and then it's like, "Oh, you use Bubble AI, why not just use the template?" Yeah, it's interesting. I'm interested to see how they position this. As always, I'm excited to go there, and I'm excited. I hope for the best, right? I've still invested in this ecosystem. I still believe in it,
Yeah.
but I'm just a little. I don't know what's going to come of it, so I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to go. So if anyone out there listening is going, let us know. We'll all meet up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you don't have any other news,
I think
I
that's
do
it.
want to talk about one new tool that I found this week that I really love. Also, just a shout out for NoCode Alliance. If you're looking for work, check out NoCode Alliance. We've had a ton of jobs being posted there. I have a bunch of automations now, scraping all different jobs boards all over the industry, plus exclusive stuff coming in. And so you can kind of go in there, fill out your skills, fill out your tools, and just be notified whenever a job pops up pretty much in the entire internet, and you just be notified with this one account, which is really cool. And of course, it's free, so check that out. But one of the things that came by my desk this week was Autogrid.
Autogrid.
And so, what Autogrid does is it is a very simple database kind of builder. Let me see if I could share my screen here. Give me 1 second because I just want to show you this. All right, so if you could see my screen,
Yeah.
right? All right. So what I did was I knew nothing of this tool, and this took me about 10 minutes to get there. So you have these new rows, right? And then within the rows, you have columns. And then within each of these columns, essentially, like, what is this platform? And you can go in there and say, what is the platform?
Mhm.
And then give it a prompt and then choose the type. And then it will send off an AI agent to go and fetch that data for you for every single row in that database. And then anytime you add a new row, what would be a new row? What that we do not have already?
Build ship.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Build ship. Every time I add a new one, let's see, everything's queued up and it's all going to be fetched and automated for me. And so I have a ton of different fields here. What is this platform? The key features, our target audience, market position, why choose this platform, pricing, fundraising info. You can even pull back single and multi-selects of like, what is this thing? And it's just finding it all for you very quickly. And with little knowledge of how to do this, it just turned my research into like super powered, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information, I'm going to add to it and make specific tool pages for NoCode Alliance of like, what is this tool? How can you use this tool? What are people paying developers for this tool? All that kind of stuff now has made my research for finding this information so easy. And of course, you can do it with any kind of information or data you're looking to get and scrape. And they also have a cool feature over here where you can add a column and generate it with AI. And so a column name would be, let's say what technology this platform is built with. And then from there, it opens up a chat bot that you start chatting with. And then from there, it'll actually go off and create it for you. And so it's like, okay, do you like this? That looks good. Save it. And then from there, this column is created and they're going to go off and do it. And now it's finding all that data. Yeah. So it's this really cool platform. It just launched
How
today
does
on
the
Product
pricing
Hunt.
work? Is this like, are you pay by row? You pay by token?
Yeah, it's pretty generous from what
So
I've
it's some
done so far.
credits.
Like,
Okay.
it gives you 1,000 credits for free, and so I have figured out what I have 15 rows with, like, 20 different columns in each. I'm halfway through my credits.
Yeah.
S so, like, it's pretty generous for free, and then you can kinda scale up from there. It starts at $50 a month for 5,000 credits. And some other things I'm really excited about is, maybe they have an API that, like, once I something add something into that, it just pings that data right over to my tool, and like a whole new tool page is created, kind of thing. So there's a
Interesting.
lot of options that come with this, and I know that it's not the first tool like it, but I really liked it because it's just so easy to use, and the data that it's actually bringing back is pretty good. And then even in here, you can use variables to really reference other columns and whatnot. And
Huh.
yeah, been impressed with this so far.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is this I guess this could be any research. It doesn't have to be.
Any research,
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess how do you have to manually fill in the columns though, or the rows? Can you
You
say, "Hey, go find me 150, I don't know, marketing agencies."
You know what? I don't know yet because I'm so new to it.
Hmm.
Again, what I've showed you is from like 15 minutes of using the platform, and like that's how much I picked up, which was a lot already.
Yeah.
I bet you can. Um, and I just love the fact that it's like, hey, you change that prompt, and it's just going to refetch everything for you. You add to it, it's going to refetch everything for you, and then everything's updated along the line. And so it just made like doing research so easy. Comparison tools, you competitor research, stuff like that. It just made it so easy. And you know what? I do see like a competitor like Google Sheets just saying, okay, well, I'll just add this into my database.
Yeah, that was
But in the
like, does
meantime,
HubSpot do this already? Can I
yeah, like I feel like we're kind of getting there with a lot of these platforms. But the UX that this platform had and the ease of use and just how universal it is, I loved it.
Yeah, I
So
think this is pretty cool. I would use this
yeah.
as I'm doing some sales stuff uh, to plug this in
Yeah, I think sales would be a
and
good
run.
option. Prospecting for sure. And we're seeing that a lot in the prospecting game with like Clay and others where you enter a prospect name and they'll go and fetch all that information for you. You know.
Yeah, I guess this is like a more generic, not sales only model.
Yeah,
And you can just like take any spreadsheet, plop it in here, and then add AI columns after it,
exactly. Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Um, yeah, I've been trying to play with some AI voice agents and like
Which
make
ones?
calls. I've used Bland,
Okay.
which is an interesting. So like, I've been using Bland and SynthFlow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with SimFlow.
And SynthFlow, it just like takes all of it out of the guess for you. You're just like, hey, drop in a prompt, which I
Yeah.
actually just had ChatGPT make for me. I was
Great.
like, hey, here's my product. Here's what I want to do. Actually, so what I actually did was I took 5 sales calls, the transcript from 5 sales calls, and I
Perfect.
said, take these sales calls and turn this into an AI sales prompt for me.
Gotcha.
Because it also creates all of the objections. Like it listens to the transcripts. What are people asking? Why
Mm,
don't they need it? Or why would they, like, what questions do they have? And what are my responses? And then it
yeah.
pulls that into the prompt. And then I use that in both Bland and SynthFlow. SynthFlow, basically the premise is you take a prompt and it just like builds everything else around, right? You have some
Hmm.
actions you can add.
Yeah, the latency is pretty good. It's easy to spin up and use. You can have different multiple like phone lines. You
Yeah,
can also
I
receive
cloned my
calls.
voice, and
Very
so
cool.
it sounds like me-ish, kind of,
Yeah.
on the call. Um, and Bland is more like stepwise. Like you have to build all of the steps. You can use AI to take a prompt and then kind of build the map of what has to happen for you. I found it still a little hard because you need all of these like if-then scenarios. Like what prompt to move into
Mm,
if they say no, I don't like this, or when to loop
mm,
around and keep asking more questions
yeah.
to get them interested. I have found it a little challenging to get one. It still sounds pretty robotic, like it's
Hmm.
still not obviously not a person
For both of
for
them.
both of them. It still
Yeah.
feels very Bland was worse. I think, than SynthFlow. Maybe because I used my voice instead of just like an average voice. Um, and I also found it really hard to have it start. It starts talking before the
Mm,
caller does. Like,
yeah.
someone answers the phone or voicemail picks up, and I can see from the transcript, it just starts talking. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a little strange, right? And
Yeah.
I'm calling numbers. I don't have verified numbers that I know that, is it a cell phone? Is it the office phone? And sometimes, like, I'll call a number and it's a voice recording on the other side going like, "Hi, welcome to so and so office. For this, press 1." And it like doesn't know what to do. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, because it's not like I'm calling the DMV and I know, oh, hit 1, then 4, then 7. And you could do that.
Oh, cool.
You can set up those button presses, but I don't know which one to press ahead of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Like you just talking about this and how you're doing outbound cold sales right now for your new startup. Like, if you're not ready to do stuff like that, you're probably not ready to start a new startup. Like, I'm feeling that stuff right now. I'm like, I don't want to do that right now. That means I'm just probably not ready to start a startup because it is needed. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I want you
really
for
want to
doing what
do
you're
it.
doing.
I just don't. I'm gonna keep playing with a few of these options because, like, I have a million phone numbers I can call right now,
Hmm.
and the pitch is simple. They should know what they need. They need yay or nay, and I want to run through those pitches really fast.
Yeah.
And um, and I want to be able to do it. Like, people on the East Coast, I want to do it at 6 in the morning on the West Coast. Like, I don't want to have to be
Yeah.
up making these calls, and I can do it 20 at a time, or I can make 100 calls a day and not be on the phone all day long.
Yeah.
Uh,
I feel like the use case that's really good for this right now is like a real estate agent accepting calls to schedule appointments where it's just like, hey, they're calling us and we're just going to help them
yeah,
quick.
the
I think
inbound,
there's value.
the
Yeah.
inbound
Inbound
is
stuff
more
like that.
successful right now because
Yeah.
it's not intrusive. People are actively trying to engage with you
Exactly.
instead of like, I don't want to talk to you. Although I
Yeah.
have heard, I saw this guy post the other day about the AI hotel haggler. Have you seen this?
No.
So basically, this guy built an AI agent that calls hotels and negotiates better rates. It says like, "Hey, that's too much for me. Can you offer me a discount?" And then they come and say, "Yeah, I could offer you this rate." And they're like, "Okay, great. That sounds good." Um, and it's one of the test calls. The guy on the receptionist at the hotel said something like, "Why do you sound so robotic?" And the AI replied, "Oh, I don't know. Don't worry, I'm a real human." And then they talked for 5 more minutes. Like, he was like, "Oh, okay, it's fine." Right? And that is
Yeah.
is cool, right? Like, doing all of that. Like, there are services like Truebill, which will help
Mhm.
negotiate stuff for you. I
Mhm.
could see that being interesting, but like, they're gonna know it's AI. And in fact, healthcare systems they automatically hang up. Like, if they think it's an AI call, they will just hang up on it. It doesn't even matter.
Interesting.
They don't listen to the message. Um,
Yeah, there was one call that I received from an insurance agent, and she was so perfect that I was like, I just don't know if you're real.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if a person could deliver the level of exceptionalism that you are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
delivering right
I've
now.
done I've done that before and been like, "Are you even real?"
Yeah.
And I would say something like, "Oh, another recording," and I've heard them on the other line go like, "Again, they think I'm a real person," and I'm like,
There needs to be some kind of safe word that is just universal where just like the safe word you say it and then it's like I'm AI.
just ask
So
how
like
many R's there are in strawberry."
there it is. There it is.
And if he gets it right, that's like the code language, right?
Yeah. Are you interested in this? But first, how many R's are there in
Yeah,
strawberries?
spell strawberry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think
All
it's
right.
interesting.
Well,
It's a good time to be
anything else
in
for this week?
sales. No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. Like I said earlier in the show, I'm feeling more powerful than ever as a no code AI creator. It's really exciting. These tools popping up left and right, and they're just so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ready to put my learner hat back on too, and just like binge learn a ton of stuff because there's just so much things exciting. I saw someone today saying I'm literally taking PTO to learn this
To
stuff.
just go,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like I'm
That's
so
great.
excited I just need to like literally take time off to go learn.
To go
this.
figure this out. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
All
Cool.
right. Well, that's it for this week in No Code
All
Plus
right.
AI.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week. And again, if you have anyone that you want us to bring on the show, interview, let us know. If you have any questions, platforms you want us to talk about, any new things that are happening, or if you just want to leave us a review, please leave us a
Yeah.
review.
Or if you're
iTunes,
coming to BubbleCon.
Spotify. If you're coming to BubbleCon, let us know. We'll
Yeah.
be there in a couple weeks. So lots coming up, and hope to see you guys around.
Yep. See you soon.